Thank you for tuning into the Loss Prevention News Network. I'm Joe LaRocca, and I'm here with special co-MC Jim Shepard, who's the National Accounts Manager with Protection One. Thanks for getting on the hot seat with me here.
Thanks, Joe. I didn't know I volunteered for co-MC, but I'll give it a try.
You're hired.
Thank you.
Amber's out for a little bit, so, you know, Jim, we were talking a little bit off camera. I wanted to spend a couple of minutes and just recognize maybe some of the people in our career that were mentors to us, that helped us along the way or taught us a few things that we found really helpful in business. I'll start with you. Can you think of somebody?
Okay. Certainly have somebody in mind. I owe my career path to a person by the name of Bob Oberosler, a man that left May Company many, many years ago, I think about 24 years ago. And I met him when he took the VP chair at Lowe's and joined their LP team. Bob has mentored me throughout the years, and he introduced me to what I call a family. So I've had the prestigious honor to know all these LP leaders, people like Claude Breville, who's the VP at Lowe's currently, John Grander, VP at Famous Footwear, David Lawwell, VP at Fossil. These folks are people I'm now doing business with currently, so I consider them part of my family. The one thing I've learned over the years with these folks is we always talk about companies and how you bet on companies to fulfill all your solutions and deliver, but I've always been taught you bet on the jockey, not the horse. Right. And that's how I do business. I partner with my friends and family and been very successful today because of these people. And
for the people, whether it's Bob or David or other folks that you've worked with, what are the skills that you'd say you've passed on to the people that have worked for you?
It's always performing with your customer's best interest in mind. I mean, this is a very small industry, as we all know, and if you make mistakes, you fess up to them, you own up to them, and you fix with proper solutions. But it's always supporting your customer as your colleague, as your best friend, ensuring that they look good, and as long as you keep their best interest in mind, they'll keep yours in return.
That's fantastic. I think, you know, looking back at my career, like you, there's so many people that have given me a thing or two to take away and inspire my career. One of those people was a CFO named Patty Johnson at Disney. And Patty was one of those people with all the weight of the world on her shoulders, running a pretty large division of the Walt Disney Company, knew how to keep it real. She inspired her team. She recognized real talent and always passed on, even if we were having a very bad day, she knew how to lift us up and help us lift up the teams that we were working for. And I'll never forget, in the face of some real controversial decisions and business issues and terrorism, etc. She's someone that really kept it all moving and really kept the business moving. And in addition to our program and supporting us along the way, so really thankful to Patty and the team. So, okay, let's talk about something else, people related. So right now, behind us, Gus is talking with Art Silva with Hallmark, and I know they're talking about retail operations. And you and I earlier today talked a little bit about how Protection One is working with the business and being a partner and helping integrate in all these very complex technology solutions to keep it simple for a loss prevention or a CIO professional. So now, if you were sitting in retail today and you were trying to navigate this very complicated path of selecting a new service provider, these shared services and all the new RFPs that go out, I can see the smile on your face. You're in that club of these are, unique changes in our business. What advice would you offer to the retailers to help navigate that process with the sourcing professionals and helping them understand both sides of the equation and where you sit as a service provider? Sure. What helps them understand the process?
I think we've all seen over the last 5 to 10 years that we're seeing a lot of RFPs, people doing procurement buys, commodity purchases, and it becomes a race to the bottom line, who can sell it for the cheapest. But I honestly think some of these LP leaders need to take the time, visit these providers, these suppliers, meet the people that's going to deliver for you, and make that first impression, that relationship, to see if those are the ones that you want to invest in. So it isn't all about price. It's about performance and people.
Right. So gone are the days of good quick and cheap, pick two, right?
Correct.
In many cases, they're just looking at price. So with that said, now on the other side of it, you're in retail and you're making these selections. What are the things that Protection One does to differentiate itself from some of your competitors? How do you, obviously you don't compete just on price, you have a very broad selection of services. Where do people start with Protection One? How do you initially get in the door, and then how do you build the service from there?
I think it's not easy for an LP director, an LP VP to make a decision to change suppliers. There's a huge effect on what happens when you change a supplier. I mean, I go all the way down to the store level to managers. I mean, they know someone they're going to call every day, and then all of a sudden you make this change. There's quite a bit of interruption in that. And God forbid, you obviously want them to perform because that reflects poorly on you. And we all know that making those decisions can be a role change for you. Could mean you're out the door as well. You're going to want someone who's going to want to sit down and look at your financial status, understand where your investments lie, and be able to be flexible enough to make it lucrative for both parties. And we're not in a business to make profit from every dollar won, but it has to be mutually we both gain something. What P1 does a little bit different is we help you obtain that ROI. It's necessary. I mean, you wouldn't make these investments if there wasn't a return for that investment at the end game, and we do that. We just don't sell you widgets and hope you find your own ROI. We actually invest our staff and team to make sure you do that and deliver.
That's great. So now here you're an intricate part of the discussions today with retailers at the shows and going forward, and with the new merger and acquisition with the Apollo Group. That obviously provides some unique expansion opportunities and new customer opportunities. Where's the company headed overall?
We're still in aggressive growth mode. Probably we'll do a lot more acquisitions into more technologies, increase our footprint, because not every retailer is in the same cities and have the same geographical footprint. We want to deliver the same service no matter who you are and where your brick and mortar sites are. So I see a lot more investment, a lot more growth. We'll probably buy into more technologies, but most importantly, we'll invest in our team and our staff to make sure that they're trained and to deliver that same solution seamlessly from East Coast to West Coast.
And does P1 do any business outside the United States?
Canada right now. We actually opened up an office in Hawaii, which I still consider outside because it's always been in no man's land for us. But Canada probably is where we're making our investments now to grow in that.
And do you find now as retailers are moving into the online complex, what types of services do you provide to the logistics and supply chain side of the business?
Well, unfortunately, we're starting to see a trend where a lot of retailers are having to go to supply chain. There's talks that the brick and mortar will be a lot less square footage. I think people still want to be able to touch and feel merchandise, but I see a lot of these brick and mortar sites are trading, and we have to get really good at supply chain now. So understanding distribution centers, how to protect trucks from East Coast to West Coast as they travel and deliver goods and services.
Right.
But we need to understand those technologies first on the supply chain side of the business.
And we were talking earlier about the voice downs for the DSDs, the late night deliveries, et cetera. What else does Protection One do in relative to the logistics side? Do you work with any of the supply chain folks? Are you in the distribution centers? So pre-store arrivals, and so where do you pick up in terms of service offerings?
Well, supply chain has always been a byproduct of doing business with the retail brick and mortar site. But by the way, I have a distribution center. As a matter of fact, the supply chain has actually started their own group of folks that are concentrating on just that discipline. We're trying to understand how to protect trucks now. GPS tracking where drivers stop and are they making all their treks from one place to the other, ensuring there's merchandise that when they leave the distribution, they arrive at the store on time.
That's great. See, so I got a peek into the company and the future initiatives. That's awesome. So I think we need to leave it right there. Thanks to Jim Shepard, the National Accounts Manager with Protection One. We're turning it back over to you. Thanks a lot.